Well, hello there, welcome guys. I had a brilliant idea for a tier list video overnight. I've just woken up, I've got my coffee with me, and get this, what I want to rate is a topic very near and dear to me, something I think will be very cool, and that is Guild Wars outstanding mysteries. So there are obviously a ton of different areas of Tyria and storytelling that we haven't explored yet, and I kind of wanted to take stock of what are the big things that I still really care about as far as Guild Wars 2 is concerned, stuff that End of Dragons might be able to answer, but even going forward. So looking at some old mysteries we've talked about in the past, but also putting some new ones on the table. In this video, I'm going to list all the big stuff that I care most about, and in almost any old random order here as well. I think this will be quite fun, just even sitting down brainstorming what some of these concepts were. Which is really cool to me. So let's see where they land, and I'm going to rate each of the mysteries according to my excitement. I'm going to try and be less wishy-washy about the criteria on this. According to my excitement for seeing this thing be resolved. Okay, so for example, we've got this square at random here, June and Jade Tech. Of course, with the upcoming expansion, we've seen that they've introduced this idea of Dragon Jade. People are doing all kinds of crazy stuff over in Cantha at this point. The question is, to what end? What did June, the inventor, have in mind? How's it all being utilized? That's like one of the big cliffhangers and big mysteries of the upcoming expansion. And I would rate that mystery, actually, to be honest with you guys, not that high. I mean, I'm curious about it, and I'm sure we'll get real answers on it. But it's kind of just appeared out of nowhere at the start of End of Dragons press. So I can't honestly say I'm super tethered to it. So I'm actually going to drop it down to C for this one. Next, I'm just going to click and drag something from the bottom of the screen here. We have the Pyrite Peninsula. So this is a particular favorite of mine. This one's definitely going to get rated high. I can tell you guys that straight away. So you guys don't know this mystery. There's an area in Ore, and as far as the lore's concerned, actually a huge swathe of land that is basically like painted with fool's gold. Like the ground there, the material has been transformed. And during the core storyline, when you're in Ore, you kind of see this and scratch your head, and there's a couple of little events and a little bit of dialogue about it. But really, the devs are very cagey on details about this. Also of I believe the Inquest are actually examining the area too. Also of note is a giant floating orb that looks a little bit like the dragon heart we saw come out of Kralkatorrik after Kralkatorrik was destroyed at the end of Season 4. So I'm wondering, and my little theory about this is maybe this is one of the resting ground of one of those super ancient Elder Dragons, possibly, a previous Apex Predator from a long time ago. But the devs, you know, they had multiple opportunities to talk about this kind of stuff, especially around the Heart of Thorns era, and they didn't really. There were also some weird mysteries with this, just in terms of in-game, like weird collection items and stuff seem to be associated with it, but no one's ever figured out exactly what to do with them. This is just a really cool mystery. Actually, I think this is one of my favorite mysteries out there. I'm going to put it S for now. I really do like the Pyrite Peninsula, and I hope one day they do give us more information about what happened there. It'd be so cool for me to just watch like a flashback into Tyria's deep past, and we see, you know, with End of Dragons, there might even be a chance for stuff like this. We see some kind of weird-looking Elder Dragon or something, and it dies and explodes gold everywhere, and you realize you've been looking at an ancient area of the Pyrite Peninsula all that time ago. Which is really cool, and an interesting part of lore, Ore lore, which I very much do enjoy. Next, we got another good one. We got, I think I'm going to think all of these are generally pretty good ones. Next, we got Shiny. So if you guys don't know the story of Shiny, this is a salt spray dragon, one of the dragons of Cantha, that came into the care of a particular warrior in Alona. At the end of Guild Wars 1, he had the egg, it hatches, Shiny is the salt spray that comes out. The question is, what happened to Shiny? You know, in the Guild Wars 2 story, where we have entities like Aurene and Vlast, and Glint's legacy, and this idea that we're going to replace Elder Dragons with others that, you know, rise up, Shiny, in theory, would be a good candidate, right? But we never hear Glint or any part of Glint's legacy really looking at that. We never hear Vlast interacting with another dragon that was basically in the same area as its home. And so Shiny had been hiding in the hidden city of Adashim, as far as we knew. This protected Djinn city that actually featured in the most recent raid wing. There was a little hint, but so far, this is still a big, outstanding mystery, and I do think a pretty valid cliffhanger. Something you might find in End of Dragons. After the hint in the Key of Adashim, by the way, there was a dev quote. I've pulled it up for the purpose of this video. Tracy West was talking about it on Reddit, and they said, the brutal answer about Shiny and why Shiny didn't have a bigger role in the raid is if we were to include Shiny in this story, that would have been a whole new model to get the Salt Spray Dragon looking right. Usually, we have the bosses get their own models and everything from the game standpoint. If we reference shiny, it probably would have still have to have been text, which wouldn't have been super satisfying anyway. It would have been a side story. People would probably wanted shiny to actually play a role in the encounters, which was never intended for the story of the Key of Adashim. So we just kind of wanted to leave it as a tantalizing, you can imagine what happened to shiny. Shiny's still out there. We didn't say it got destroyed when Kadim came through or anything like that. Maybe shiny has escaped the city. Maybe we'll meet shiny again. I mean, how cool is that? I'm looking forward to something about shiny, and especially in terms of the setting of End of Dragons. What a cool thing that they could do. Next, it looks like we've got a bit of an old one. That's going to be Livia and the Scepter of Ore. Now, this is kind of a funny box, really. I can imagine some people wouldn't consider this a mystery anymore. Maybe if you guys were making your own version of this video, you wouldn't include her. And that's because Livia did finally show up in Season 3. So if you guys don't know, Livia is kind of this cool, badass necromancer character we meet in Eye of the North. Eye of the North of the expansion about setting up Guild Wars 2 stories. And at the very end of the final cutscene of Eye of the North, like, I think that the last shot, or in the last couple of shots, right before we see Primordus opening his eye, right? We see big, major stuff about the game, like the Sylvari being born, right? Who are obviously a major part of Guild Wars 2. Everything they show you in that cutscene is really important. And what else do they show you? They show you Livia collecting the Scepter of Ore, which is an artifact that played a role through a bit of the story in Guild Wars 1. So the question is, well, why is the Scepter of Ore important? Why is Livia important? Slowly over time, the lore's expanded, and it turns out Livia managed to keep herself alive using the scepter. And so this was this big mystery, and it's like, what are the devs building to? Where is Guild Wars going with this? Then in Season 3, Livia kind of just appears in a patch, and they do explain a bit about her, and it's kind of a fun little moment. But no sooner as we meet her, and we get a little bit of story about the scepter, she says she extended her life, she leaves again. And so to me, that's not an answered mystery. To me, that's a thing of, okay, I want to see more with Livia in the future. Livia could take a prominent role in an upcoming expansion after End of Dragons or something like that. I think she's got a lot to give, and I don't consider Season 3 to have tied a bow on the whole thing. I know that Livia's last appearance was kind of a really unceremonious random thing with some of the Palava Joker invasions in Season 4, but I think that the devs could do more, and I hope they want to do more with Livia. It's a high-rated mystery for that reason for me. And by the way, guys, through this whole video, all the boxes I've put on this are things that I have reasonable confidence the studio does care about and have a chance of appearing. I'm trying to not include, I mean, doing every mystery is going to be crazy, right? I'm trying to not include small stuff. Like, you know, that mysterious companion of Rox's that appears back in Season 2 and disappears? That, to me, is a dropped storyline. It's not going to make it onto this tier list. Next, oh, we got a big one. This is obviously S tier. Mother! I mean, talk about developer intent. Mother is the mystery of the whole game at this point, isn't it? Mother is the ultimate big storyline thing. I have utmost confidence that they'll, if not resolve this in End of Dragons, at the very least look it directly in the eye and it will set up some of the later storylines. So what's the idea of Mother? Well, Kraukatoric in his final moments spoke about his, so to speak, mother. Maybe the progenitor of these apex creatures in some way. The devs have been thinking about it. It was their big hint at the end of Season 4. It's a huge, fascinating thing that we only get a tiny little bit tantalized about. Mother's brilliant. It's definitely S tier. Honestly, I'm a little bit... No, and I'm... You know, if I'm excited about the Pyrite Peninsula, because it might be a now past Elder Dragon, I think I'm even more excited about Mother, because I view it as maybe, like, the power level above, maybe, or something. And I'm not saying Guild Wars 2 story has to go in that direction. I know some of you guys are going to be raising your eyebrows about that. But yeah, I think Mother's definitely takes prominence. All right, next, an old fan favorite, the very first Guild Wars mystery video I ever did as well. The Wizard's Tower. The Wizard's Tower is also S. I mean, what can I say? And by the way, I do believe they'll do something with the Wizard's Tower. So some of the most recent dev quotes we had about this was that multiple groups within the studio wanted to do the story. You know, it was like, do they do it in Living World, or do they do it as a raid, or is it going to be a current event, or is it going to be an expansion storyline? For what it's worth, my vote on that is expansion storyline. This is big and long enough now that it's got to be paid off in a big way. So, those who don't know, what's the Wizard's Tower? It's a mysterious, strange castle that was floating on a floating rock. You could see it in Guild Wars 1. And then in Guild Wars 2, it's still there. It's kind of moved. It's been towed to a new location. It's hanging ominously over a small village called Garenhof in Kreiter. And Garenhof is one of the most fascinating places to explore. It's surrounded by elementals now. People talk about the mysterious wizard in the tower, a guy called Isgaren, but you never really get to see him. You never know what he's doing. It seems to maybe be tied to like old soul magic and stuff. It's really, really cool. There's lots of interesting, cool hints, very captivating. And you know, I especially want to put it at S tier because to me, this is like a Guild Wars 2 mystery. This isn't even like from Guild Wars 1 or whatever. This has been set up fairly recently. And I think they did it fantastically. This is some of the best breadcrumbing they've done. It's definitely higher than the Pyrite Peninsula as well. So there you have it. That's S to me. Come on. All right, the Bloodstones I've got written here. Now, this is something I'm genuinely really quite curious about. Guild Wars 1 talked a lot more about the Bloodstone lore. And we get in the story that this Bloodstone was split apart into 5 chunks plus a keystone. Or is it 5 chunks and one of them's a keystone? But we don't know where all those parts are. If you guys played Season 3... just one of those shards of the Bloodstone, one of the 5, was blown up by Balthazar/Lazarus. And the energy explosion that came from that was huge. The Bloodstones are like a huge part of the setting. If we go into a world after End of Dragons, where they're not around, and it's cultures and civilizations and stuff vying for control over powerful magical artifacts and so on, suddenly the Bloodstones are going to be really interesting. I think it's a brilliant place for the story to go. And a couple of them are in mysterious locations. So those could be in continents and regions we've never seen before, who knows? And there's another, like, attack onto this mystery. You even have the mysterious door to one of the Bloodstones. We kind of know where it was in Guild Wars 1. It's basically at the Straits of Devastation, and there's a cave with a door sealing the entrance, and it's been there since 2012. You can log into Guild Wars 2 and find that door right here, right now. Really exciting. So I think they'll do big stuff with this. I think these are very cool. Do I think they're as cool as Shiny, Livia, Deceptivore? Actually, I think they are a bit, you know. I think I'll rate Shiny down. And I'll put Livia, I'll put the Bloodstones up there. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, next we have a very new mystery. This is the Mist Stranger. So I think I've actually rated this exactly where I went in the B tier. So if you guys have noticed, there is an NPC kind of around in some of the little bonus events and patches and recap stuff that we've been playing recently called the Mist Stranger. Like when the Marionette became playable again, it was the Mist Stranger you could speak to who would teach you about it. And they explained that they're basically like just a guy from the Mists that maybe is going to become important a bit later. Now I'm trying to look at my notepad here. I did copy paste a quote. So you can ask them, who are they? They're like this weird person. You don't know where they're from, the Mists perhaps. And you say, who are you? And they say, consider me a ... Warden of Tyria. Who I am is of no concern, at least for now. So this is all very new stuff. Now here's the thing, guys. Look at the context of where Guild Wars is at the moment. They've just doubled down on the game. They've decided that End of Dragons is what they want to do, and after End of Dragons, they're sticking with Guild Wars and they're doing more content. So that's what they've just decided, and I bet that they have ideas for where they want the plot to go next. So now is the time they would start breadcrumbing where they intend to go, right? Now is when they start telegraphing that stuff so we can speculate. And right around now is when the Mist Stranger comes in. I don't think that they're a random nothing. I really don't. I think that they're hinting maybe there'll be some kind of Mist storyline coming up later, of which we've had a few other hints over the years. And that's, you know, and not the, which one of them we'll see again actually in a second. I got a whole other mystery. So yeah, I think the Mist Stranger is pretty exciting. I'm going to put it, I mean, there's very little to dive in on here. And it's weird to me. I mean, yeah, no, I think it's probably around June and J-Tech. They're both kind of new story initiatives, right? New mysteries. And because we don't have much and I haven't had all these years to dwell on them, I think they rate a little bit lower. But yeah. Okay, so Malyck and the Other Trees. Brilliant mystery. Who doesn't know this one? In the Sylvari storyline, we are introduced to a Sylvari who isn't actually from our Pale Tree. So the story of the creation of the Pale Tree, it's not unique, guys. We only know of one, and we've only seen the one on the coast. But the actual story of it is that there was a cave full of seeds. Ronan took one of them. What about all the other seeds? Where did they end up over the years? What created those seeds? Now, it's been my theory for years that there's another tree of some sort in the Echovald Forest, and maybe we'll find one they can connect that to the Wardens and Urgos. That's a cool idea, but even without that, what about the fact we already met a character from another tree? A tree that, in theory, is somewhere nearby? We never got to see this in Heart of Thorns. It was a story they wanted to tell at that time and they never managed to. Does that mean that the mystery is dead and gone? Hell no, it's not gone. Malyck's a brilliant mystery. Imagine, you guys, this. End of Dragons, we're exploring the Echo Forest, and who lurks out? Well, it's Malyck, after all these years. And it turns out he's been exploring, trying to find other trees, and that's led him to the Echo. What a cool story beat that would be. I can't wait to see that if that's what they go for. And that's an A tier mystery. Easily that's A tier. That might even be S. I mean, if you're a Sylvari fan as well. I mean, it is. It's one of Guild Wars' best mysteries. Oh, am I being too lenient with the Pyro? I think I'm being too lenient with the Pyro Peninsula. We've got to write that down. And we're going to put Malyck up. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. And let's bring the Bloodstones down. They're good, but, you know. Alright, there you go. Next, we have My Trin, another End of Dragons thing. So I actually love My Trin. If you watch my character tier list from earlier in the week, you see she's made it into both, guys. I don't know how, but she's managed to make it into both. So the question is, what was My Trin doing for all these years? What was her capacity and allegiance with Scarlet if we don't know that full story yet? What's she doing in Cantha now? What are the Aether Blades doing? Is she just a straight up bad character? Is she kind of in this frenemy place? I really love My Trin and mostly the mystery of what she's been up to and what she discovered in the mists. And again, you'll notice mist activity again is something of a theme here. So I like her a lot. I don't think it's quite A tier, but it is probably my biggest point of mystery excitement for the upcoming X-Pack for sure. Again, with End of Dragons, we have the Deep Sea Dragon. I do think it deserves its own box, guys. It's crazy how much press we've had, and how little have they talked about the Deep Sea Dragon, and how little have we seen the minions of the Deep Sea Dragon. You know, we've got like a bit of concept art of a big thing circling around the Harvest Temple, but it's crazy, isn't it? We got so little. And even as well, the idea of like lots of water locations and stuff in this expansion, they're keeping it very close to their chest. Can I just point out, guys, we're about to move out of the end of an era with End of Dragons. We really are, and it's only a couple of months away. So just indulge in this. For all these years, ArenaNet created a franchise, or they supported a franchise, that was about the destruction of these Elder Dragons. That's the be-all and end-all, the destruction of these Elder Dragons. And guess what? They didn't even tell us the name of one of them. One so mysterious, lurking out there in the depths. I think that's brilliant, and that's to be applauded. It's an S-tier mystery. It's so cool. And, you know, when that mystery goes away and we have answers or whatever, I'll still credit this as one of the coolest things they did. I think it's badass. Alright, and finally, for End of Dragons, I've given this a separate box, and I think it's warranted. This idea of the cycle is reborn. So basically, the mystery of what are they doing here? How does the Elder Dragon story end? We've basically been given the impression that the Elder Dragon story is ending here. So how exactly does that work? How is it the end of Dragons, but the cycle being reborn? Basically, this is the mystery of how the hell does this whole story finish? A story 10 years in the making, more than that if you include Eye of the North. We're coming to the end of the road here, guys. And I think that's deserving of a mystery box. Now, how excited am I? I don't know, maybe this doesn't count, because it is a little bit different, isn't it, really? This is just a plot conclusion. I mean, is it a mystery? It kind of is a mystery, right? I mean, they're deliberately playing with the idea, how is it possible to fix this and rebuild the cycle? I don't know, I think it's pretty fundamental to the game. Let's put it in C, though, I guess. Let's put it down here. Okay, next, I got a personal favorite one. The game doesn't really emphasize this in any way, but come on, we got to do this. Who leads the inquest, right? It's as simple as that. I mean, at one point in the personal story, Kudu, like, suggests he's in, like, the ultimate position. I think there's some throwaway dialogue in COE story mode. But generally speaking, the lore is we don't know who or what governing body, you know, it could be a council, who's leading the inquest. Their ambition is pretty clear, you know. They want world domination, they want to control the eternal alchemy and so on. But what beyond that, I think that's a cool little mystery I've always been curious about. I'll put it down here at C. I'm not using the D tier ever, am I? Alright, let's put it at D, because they don't really emphasize it too much. But it's on this list because I'm a fan of that. I like that. And one day getting an answer to that might be cool. I've also, it deserves D as well, because the devs have used Inquest so much, and generally speaking, they've not, like, pushed this side of it, which I think they always could have. I've got a bit of Inquest fatigue, to be honest. So, yeah. I don't think there should have been any Inquest stuff going on in Season 4, for example. Next. Alright, so I almost did 2 separate videos. But who am I for shying away from long videos? And why would we split it into? The other video was going to be, like, mysterious locations I want to go to. So here we've got the Isles of Janthier. There's really not much to say here. There's the Eye of Janthier. and it's like sort of connection to the White Mantle stuff and Saul. But that's it. The reality is we don't know anything about the Isles of Janthea, really. It's been there on the world map since Eye of the North, guys. In Eye of the North, they expanded the world map, and they show that mysterious burned-looking island chain way up north. What's going on there? Who knows? It's on the map again in Guild Wars 2. We get like Janthea Bay and stuff, but we don't know anything, and I think that's fascinating. Who were the people of Janthea? Why does their place look like a smouldering wreck? What a cool mystery. I want to go there. But there's not much more to say, so yeah. And where would I rate this? B? Over the Bloodstones. Like, if you said WP, you can only pick one or two of these stories. I would want to go to the Isles of Janthea first. I mean, I like the idea that one of the Bloodstone shards was there. These are one and the same. It's kind of funny I've got the two boxes next to each other. That's a theory, but hey, who knows? All right, next. This is a weird one to me. This is definitely going to get rated low. So, Zoteka. So, the Guild Wars 1 Utopia campaign that got cancelled in favour of making Guild Wars 2. Much of the, like, assets and stuff got rolled into Eye of the North and aesthetics that we now know. So then there's a question, is Zoteka and the Isle of Utopia and all that canon? Well, for years I would say no, it's not canon. But then all of a sudden comes the art book that writes about it like it's canon. So is it real? And if so, what's going on there now? I mean, that's a bit of a mystery to me. It's a weird one, though, because it straddles a weird line. So I'm going to put it down at D. Honestly, I'm not that excited about Zoteka. I don't know why, but I'm just not. Now, there might be something I can pair with this, which we'll get to in a moment. In fact, I'm gonna, this is not random here. I'm gonna do it straight away. We've got Dern Velazquez. So Dern is a mysterious character. Again, he has a dedicated video in my mystery series. He has a mysterious background because he like claims he's from Kryta, but he doesn't really know anything about it. He's got like a Hispanic name, which is very rare for this franchise. It seems like he's from somewhere else. So what's his homeland? Where's he from? And is it because he's from Zoteka? That's like an idea. Or is it just one of the other regular islands out there in Tyria, which I do think is a really credible and exciting place that we might be able to go in the future. So as far as this tier list is concerned, I think he's going to be in C somewhere. Yeah. Oh, well, the Cycle Reborn definitely deserves to be higher. Let's do it this way. I'm doing a lot more shuffling this time. Let's put the Bloodstones down. There we go. That feels good to me. All right, next. Another location, again, would have been in like an alternate idea. The Dominion of Winds. I mean, we just had a patch, Champions, in which we meet Tengu. We go out towards the door. It's all pretty exciting, is it? I don't know whether it will be an End of Dragons. I mean, they announced on a stream, the Echovald stream, that there's definitely no playable Tengu, and people are still saying, oh, it's because you know, it's going to come after and we'll go to the Dominion of Winds there or whatever. I don't know whether you need playable Tengu to make the Dominion of Winds a thing. Obviously, it's not necessarily a confirmed map for the X-Pack, but maybe a mini area before we actually get into the main plot. I don't know. I don't know whether it's an End of Dragons, and I think it's very unlikely to be there, but it's still a captivating place. The wall, I mean, come on, the wall looks so cool in Caledon, and the wall looks so cool in Kessex. I love this thing, and what it's brought to Guild Wars is fantastic. It's definitely a B for me. I want to go into the Dominion of Winds. You know, if the Wizard's Tower is this high. Oh, do I rate the Wizard's Tower down a bit? I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to take it out of it. No, it's S. It's definitely S. These are all S. Well, maybe the Deep Sea Dragon at this point isn't S. All right, there you go. So Dominion of Winds there. Next, we have E. Oh, God, E. Okay, so a mysterious character who helped us out. A philanthropist. A fighter for Kryta and humanity, it seems, first and foremost, but all evils of the world. Pulling the strings in the background throughout Season 1, then just kind of vanishes. Oh, and Season 2, you get a little bit more of a hint of him in Season 3, just a tiny bit, but generally speaking, has not been in the plot very much. So, because the devs have done so little, and there's not been any teasers or anything, I'm actually not that excited about E anymore. But I know the second E appeared in a patch, if End of Dragons started with a male from E, for example, I would immediately be like, oh yeah, look, they're looking at old stories, they're bringing them in. I'd be really keen, but since they haven't done that, I don't know. I mean, I like the Farriner's E theories, they're pretty fun. But we don't really know much about the character beyond like Marjorie's short story, right? So I'm going to put it in C. See, is this my personal take, or is this just what I think it does for the franchise? Because as far as the franchise is concerned, it's definitely a B-tier mystery, isn't it? It's a good mystery. It's an important mystery. But is important... Am I doing importance or preference? Oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult to make a hard science out of these. All right, next we got the God's New World, another location. So let's be very clear about what I'm talking about here. In Path of Fire, it's revealed the gods are like leaving even their own realms to do other stuff at the moment. And we here, through some of the voice-acted, collectible lore journals in one of the maps, I think it's in the Crystal Oasis, the first map. This appeared in one of my End of Dragons daily episodes recently. We hear in that book, and those are so cool, by the way, I hope End of Dragons does more of those, that the gods have, like, found a new garden. They're tending to a new garden, a safe place, a place where people can go. So, I think that's pretty fascinating. I think it's pretty fascinating, the idea, this Cycle is Reborn box, wherever it is, the idea that maybe we don't find a great solution in End of Dragons, and then the gods come in and they say, well, don't worry, we've been tending to our new garden, and then that's the new era or whatever. So what is this garden? What is this new world? What is this new realm? Whatever you want to call it. I think that's a pretty cool mystery, and I've been excited about that since Path of Fire came out. Now, not to be confused with another thing about the gods in the mists. What about the human homeworld? So the human homeworld would be another place where the humans were initially plucked from by the gods. The gods brought humanity to Tyria. So where was that original place? Another world ravaged by an equivalent of Elder Dragons or something? And the gods moved them, and now the gods are essentially going to do the same after End of Dragons is over because we don't fix the cycle or whatever? I don't know, but I think they're distinct places. I don't think the garden could be the same place. They could write that story, but they're separate places, separate mysteries, and I actually think I'm more interested in the human homeworld than I am in the God's New Garden, but I'm pretty excited about both of them. I think I'd put them all lower than the Dominion of Winds, though. I prefer places on Tyria, to be honest, to be answered. In fact, from that perspective, that makes these C-tier mysteries, really, to me. Because I do want Tyria to be the place. But yeah, they could do some fun stuff with that, for sure. Alright, just a couple more, and then we'll round the video out here. We have Duchess Chrysanthia, so kind of like Malyck, the story of the new Nightmare Court, a mysterious new leader, all this cut content. Will they eventually get back to it? I do think ArenaNet should. They should talk about the Pale Tree, and they should talk about the Nightmare Court, and they should talk about the Soundless, especially if they're going to do stuff in that direction when it comes to the Echo-Vowed Forest. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting mystery. Not very high on my list. This probably comes down to D tier, but I like it. I do like it. And finally, the last mystery. Now, this is kind of a Guild Wars 1 mystery. I've always wanted to do a video on this, but there's so little information. I mean, what do I do? So, back in 2010, when they were doing, like, Guild Wars 1 Living World equivalent patches, so to speak, and they were introducing outfits and microtransactions and stuff, they added a character to Drocknar's Forge, among the dwarves there, a Lich. They were the Nameless Lich. And I think I pulled a quote from them, from the wiki. Let me just look through my notepad here. Yeah, so here's what the Lich says to you. Be careful who you trust, mortal. Everything here is not what it appears to be. So that's a Lich, guys. Potentially very long-lived. Like, of the tier that Palawa Joko was. And I think since Season 4 and Joko's demonstrated strength and, like, his revival capabilities and stuff, the idea of other Liches around there are suddenly really fascinating to me. And we saw them hanging out with the dwarves. They told us everything was a lie. And then they just kind of moved, and we haven't seen them since. I mean, look, ArenaNet haven't really done anything with this for years and years and years. But it is goddamn fascinating. Now, if that isn't ripe for some kind of cool story, I don't know what is. I love the Nameless Lich of Drocknar. I think it's a brilliant little, tantalizing piece of history. And there I can do my little explanation for it for you guys there. So, and I'm going to leave it at B. I'm going to leave it there. Actually, would I like to see the Nameless Lich more than the idea? I mean, it's tricky because when I'm comparing like a whole region to a storyline, let's just try and keep this entire purely in terms of storylines. I think I'm more excited about this than even not more than Ian Shiny probably about there. So there you have it. So that's my take on kind of the big mysteries, the outstanding story stuff. I'm sure there are some other things, little things I forgot. If you guys have good, fun conversation you want to have about this, drop it down below. And I could do a follow-up video. On the previous tier list, I did a follow-up discussion, and I think it was really fun, so that might be cool as well. Do you think there's a mystery missing here? Do you think I've overcredited something? Do you think there's absolutely no chance that someone will appear? Just anything like that. Any conversation about the story. Things to get us hyped and amped and actually thinking about the progression of Tyria. I think in a lot of ways, it looks like a lot of doors are closed for Guild Wars and its story and things not to be titillated by, but they are there, and here's my big collection of what I think they can go with, and you know, rated in order here. S through D. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Keep an eye out on my channel for other videos. I'm hoping to do another Final Fantasy versus Guild Wars video too. So watch out for that, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Ta-ta now. By the way, I just want to extra credit the wiki contributors for this. All these images you saw the whole video, I just pulled from there. It was a real headache remover for me. So good stuff, guys.